there's nothing like a mother. You know, a mother is your foundation. It's the person who's always going to look after you, whatever you do, whether you're right, wrong, they're always going to have your back. So essentially, the Mazwai girls have never had somebody who has their back.
Yeah.
And then when people are rude to me or mean, I just block them.
Yeah.
I just block. I did the rape campaign.
Yo.
So when I posed naked.
Wait, yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh my God.
So wild.
Like,
so masifika nje sifaka ama joint yaba these big girls, you know. Then we noticed after the first show, guys, seen something, see groupie. In a world where Africans have lost their roots, it has become of vital importance to document our ways. In an effort to reverse the brainwashing of the past, where we were made to believe our ways are demonic, we are pressed to create dignified and respectful platforms to unpack our spiritual ways.
Moya Ulight, Moya Upright. Welcome to another episode of Moya. So, today things are looking a bit different, as you can see. We've got a live audience here, so for those who are watching right now, welcome to the most awaited Ntsiki Mazwai interview. I just want to say thank you to the crew as well. We have some people here helping us today, Olani and Ngoba, who are assisting behind the camera. And today we have myself, Ketsongani. Usually I'm also behind the camera, so this is a very interesting, thing for me to be interviewing the one person I work for. But I'm really, really honored to be able to interview you today. So I want to start off by saying that the internet is a scary place. And I must say, the one place I've never wanted to get to know anybody, whether it's a personal person or just a public figure like yourself, is from the internet. And that's why most of the time, if I'm getting to know you, it's through whatever you decide to show me. So this was a very interesting thing. And the one thing I want to know from you, just to start off, is obviously where everything began. But I want to know the kind of girl you were growing up with your family, your sort of challenges and everything. Yeah.
Wow, thank you, Ketso. It's a privilege to be on the seat today and be interviewed by you. So, okay, you're asking me about my upbringing how I grew up. Okay. So, I was born in 1980 in Pimville, Soweto. I was born in Bara, and I was born to Tammy and Belete Mazwai, who were journalists and writers and actively in the struggle. They were in the Pan-Africanist movement. So I grew up in a home that was full of books and full of political talk, and I was conscientized young. My dad had an office from since way back. So there were always books, and the books were Bonguki, Bo Bessie Head, Bo Wrath of the Ancestors. I mean, I obviously didn't know all these titles when I was young and how deep they actually were. But I think the fact that they were around me must have influenced me. So my mother was very fiery and feisty and wild and crazy and inspiring, and she was a community builder, and she looked after people. She broke stories. She was a social activist as well. So I don't know if you remember Mpho and Ponyane, there were these Siamese twins. Yeah, you know these things. These Siamese twins that were born in the 80s, and obviously it was during the whole political unrest stuff. So it was quite a big thing to have these Siamese twins there. And now how do we deal with this? So my mother organized and brought attention to the story, and they had a successful operation, and my mother made sure that their mom in hospital had TV and access to all these luxuries and comforts. So I think I talk a lot about my mother because I think that is the steering of actually where the Mazwai girls come from. And I feel as if because we erase the stories of women she's one of the women that has fallen prey to being erased. My mom was in the same squad as Winnie Mandela. She was that level of revolutionary, you know. And it's sad because also I feel like her peers who are around her are not keeping her name alive. And I don't know if it's a jealousy thing but we know who Belete was. And even when I was young, we could see the impact she was. So I'm surprised when they don't bring up names like hers. And I'm sure there's many other names like my mother's who they kind of just, they pretend as if we did this. But then when you look at the history of things, the people who actually made the real impact are the names that have been forgotten. So my mother, I mean, I get into a lot of trouble with the whole weave thing, but at home, you were going to get there, né? We were not allowed to even relax our hair. Like my mom was super conscious and she was black consciousness and she was a Pan-Africanist and she was the voice amongst the other women saying to them, no, let's wear African clothes, let's wear our dashikis, let's leave our hair natural. So there was it was very clear at home that you come from a family, Singama Africa Apekaya, and that is what it is. So I grew up with obviously there's my big sister, and then there was me and my little sister. So in the formative years, it was that unit with my parents and the three girls. And it was interesting because my dad was a present father. So I got confident and I got skilled as a boy, you know, especially because I lose my mother at 12 years old. So there's a period also between 12 and 16 where my dad looked after the girls. And because of that teaching, my dad was an entrepreneur and he didn't want, because imagine being a guy who's got three girls. That is like, Tiva, come on, everywhere, you know? So my dad had to like teach us and tell us not to be, am I ever ready? I remember my dad used to say to me, don't be an ever ready. When a guy calls you, you're ever ready. You're ever ready.
Okay,
Yes.
what that means. Yeah.
So, you know, I got schooled in how boys think. Because, you know, a lot of times women are so vulnerable. You know, women fall pregnant and because they're in love and whatever. My father was like, yo, listen, men are like this and you girls are going to be like this, like this. So we were encouraged to be independent and to flourish. Unfortunately, my mom died in 92 after giving birth to my little brother.
What about the older brothers as well? You haven't, there's the two brothers you have, right?
I've got two brothers. They're both at the bottom.
Okay.
Yes, they both. So it started off with Tandiswa, then it's me, then it's Nomsa, then Asa, who was born the day before my mom died.
Yeah.
Then my dad remarried in 96, and Langa was born.
And that's who I met.
Yes, you met Langa. Yes, right. And then when my father remarried, I also had another sister. The lady my father married had a daughter who was my age, my Dumelo. Unfortunately, she also passed away in 2005 in a car accident. So it was initially, so all the kids would have been 6. Then obviously we've just lost 1. So, it wasn't easy. It got a bit tricky with the new marriage and stuff. It was not an easy phase, and we kind of had to figure ourselves out. And that phase of our life kind of made us even more independent and have to go out into the world and kind of panda. I think that for people who've lost mothers, there's nothing like a mother. You know, a mother is your foundation. It's the person who's always going to look after you, whatever you do, whether you're right, wrong, they're always going to have your back. So essentially, the Mazwai girls have never had somebody who has their back.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of just hold on to each other and then mission, which is why when Tanswa got famous in the industry,
Yeah.
I was kind of by default
Yeah.
introduced in because I'm hanging on to my big sister because I don't have.
And she was taking care of you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, she's literally like a firstborn, the real thing where your mother dies and the firstborn has to take over. So, I mean, I ended up moving in with her in my like early 20s when I'm still trying to establish myself. So we've got a very deep relationship, and it's intertwined. It's intertwined with trauma and grief, and I feel as if a lot of the time people don't have that sensitivity. Well, obviously they wouldn't know, but you know, to lose a mom young and then it doesn't work out with a stepmother is a deep experience, and it wounds the soul. So I think that as a young person, who I am is this little girl who's opinionated and strong but lost her mom and is actually quite vulnerable. So I think that
makes online, because the one thing I realized after all of the stuff I saw, obviously, was that like you're very quick to also to be able to speak out, and like one thing people definitely know about you is that you will say what's on your mind. But then getting to know you personally, it's like, although you're unpredictable,
okay.
Although you are unpredictable, the one thing that is predictable about you is that you know how to kind of keep what you need to keep to yourself, you know, and you do have specific things that you like, you know, that speak to you as a person. And I think that's where I can kind of see, and sometimes when people start to speak or try to tell me things, I'm like, but you don't understand, or you don't see what I see when like I'm with her. You don't see the sort of vulnerability that she is hiding, I think, more so. So that's why when I ask about your upbringing, like I know obviously you're going to speak about your history and everything, but it's me, I'm trying to understand where you get sort of your personality from and your character to be able to speak out, because it's not, you and your sisters all, in your families, of course, you lost your mom.
Yeah.
And I just want to know what kind of made you become this character, like what forced you to be so influential in this way, you know, where you
So
speak
strong.
out, so in comparison as well to your siblings, because you're the most outspoken.
Yes, I am. It's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
And that's also interesting because they always used to accuse me of being in my sister's shadow. And it was so weird because I was like, guys, I've got a bigger personality than my sister, actually.
Yeah,
So,
she has music,
yes.
which is amazing.
Yes.
But then you have like your voice, because you
Yes.
do your poetry.
Yeah.
And then, please explain that to me.
So
Actually, sorry, before you do mention that, there is a story I saw where you were 6 years old.
Yes.
I know that's, I don't know if you can speak more on that, but you said that there was a time where a girl came to you.
Yes.
And she was saying there was something that another boy had done, and you remember throwing a rock or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was my first women's liberation gig at 6 years old. What had actually happened is that, okay, so this is like the townships in Soweto now, 1986, in grade 1, sub A, Etembu, in Pimville, zone 6. And it was break time, right? And I don't know, in my memory, I see all of us there busy on the playground, and I remember another girl coming and saying, oh, I don't know what his name was. I'll just call him Umzamo, ne? Because I don't remember his name. He's like, yeah, Umzamo, Kalile foot, Umzamo. Oh, he's basically saying he lifted up my dress, because Umzamo was known for always doing that to the girl, lifting the girls' dresses. And it's like inappropriate. Stop it.
But like, that thing is, how do you just
Dude, I know. That's how I also even knew that story. I'm like, no, man, guys, I'm on the right trail here. I knew this at 6 years old.
I don't think I would have done that personally. Dude. I don't know a lot of people who would have just thought like that from 6, you know. So that's why I'm like, who does it come from? Like, is it specifically, like, is it a blend of... Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So then she comes, oh my God, lifted my dress. Da, 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 da. So I'm like, what the hell? We are tired of this nonsense. And I lifted a rock. And I don't know how life happens, but on that day it landed.
And it's stuck here.
It went across the field and it hit the boy here. Then obviously I ran away from the crime scene and I ran to the bathroom. And the reason I'm telling all the stories, because actually I want to link it to something. So I run to the bathroom and I go hide in there, you know. Then I'm hiding. Then next thing, I hear my sister's voice in the bathroom, because I think one of my friends went and fetched her or whatever. So my sister now has to come fetch me. I've got to go to the principal's office and I've got to go get a hiding, the whole thing. And I mention this because I feel as if Tanswa's always had to come and fetch me when I'm in trouble. so you know, yeah, that's where the women's, the feminist and the women's liberation movement started when I was 6 years old. And then I hit a boy because he was lifting the girls' dresses. What was that question you were asking?
I was saying, like, how did it graduate from that? Like, through your youth, before even the career.
It's so weird. I think I've always had a connection with girls. I've also always been to girls' schools. Maybe that's it also, ne?
Yeah.
So, but the interesting thing, Getso, is that also my Islam, like my personality it's a male. I'm literally a man.
And they're not scared. Like, they're not scared to be themselves, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, I don't know where it all comes from, but I do know that I was raised in a home where I was allowed to be opinionated and allowed to express myself. We used to, like when we were young, we used to have family meetings. When it was the family unit with the 3 girls and my parents, we used to have these family meetings, and the last born, well, at the time, that was Nomi, and she was the judge.
Oh.
You see, there was a word like that, you see, where like we were given a voice, and if we were like, no, we don't like, I'm not getting cornflakes. So at the meeting that night, we would be like on the table.
And this is like, is this when you were still like before the 10s, like before you turned 10?
Yes, this is when we're young. Yeah, this is. I mean, my mom died when Tanswa was 16, I was 11, turning 12, and Nomi was 5. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were actually this little perfect family who life was good, yo. Like, like we were spoiled. Begum Nandi, we were privileged kids. It was nice, and then my mom died. And then shit got real. Shit got real. And then we had to figure out, and you know, I mean, sometimes I see on the internet where they're like, you're this spoiled privileged kid who lives on hands out. I'm like, handouts. I'm like, handouts.
You don't even know.
You don't even know.
Like, yeah.
Wow. So I've had to hustle. That's how I got to the beadwork and stuff. Because
I'm gonna get to that.
Okay. So where do you want us to go now?
Actually, I only discovered this because you're also a blogger as well.
Yes.
Which I was surprised by, because I thought it was only the poetry and everything. But I discovered that you started your beadwork when you were in your 20s, so basically my age now. And yeah, that's basically how you began the journey. So yeah, I want to know, they don't know, because I kind of know. So yeah, please tell us about basically.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what happens is that, okay, so I matriculate, and I matriculate from St. Andrews out in Bedfordview. And obviously there's also politics around all that, because the private school experience for a black child is something that we need to talk about. And we haven't been given space to talk about it because it's called privilege. And you were lucky, or you're so spoiled, or so we don't own up. We act as if, yeah, okay, no, it was fine. But it wasn't fine, guys. It wasn't fine at those schools where you are taught not to be black, and you are not given opportunities because the white people must get the opportunities. You know, it's all the subtle racism that happens at these schools that still needs to be unpacked. Anyway, so I matriculated at St. Andrews. Oh, then I go to Wits University for my first year. And what happens is that I said to my dad, well, my parents, and I'm like, yo, I'm a creative, and I'd like to be in the creative space. Like, then it's like, no, you're going to go do information systems. Like, so then, in hindsight, it's interesting because actually all this data and online stuff actually is connected to, anyways, I didn't pass that year.
Oh,
Because, I just was like, I didn't say
that's
I
not what you want. Yeah, you don't want that.
I'm like,
and you being obviously, yeah.
Flip. I'm learning all these things as I'm older. You being you. That
Yeah.
comment says a lot. Like all the time, I didn't know that I'm this wild spirit that just does its own thing. So I'm always shocked when people are shocked at me. I'm shocked at them back because I'm like, what the hell?
Like, oh, you expect everything.
you know? So, okay, I go to Wits University, then I don't get the minimum requirements, and I remember that letter coming, and that moment when you have to tell your parents, "Gutin failile bafethu." Yo, it's hectic. So then it's like, okay, what are you going to do with your life?
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, then let me try something more creative. I want to be in advertising. Then they were like, okay, advertising a bit too creative. Let's try marketing.
Yeah.
Then obviously now I'm a bit more focused and I do well and I do marketing. But now as I'm sitting in these marketing classes, man, I'm seeing the 4 P's, product, place, promotion, what. And I'm reading. And I'm like, hi, man. So what I need is a product here. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, I'm not here for Uksebenza guys. Like, I need to figure out.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh, okay. Then I start working from a point of, I'm going to find my product, but let me see what the basics are in this marketing thing, Okay, so I do that. And I'm actually very good in class, and I'm one of the top.
So you're enjoying it then?
I think I must have been enjoying it. Yeah, because I was one of the top achievers and whatever. And I remember that was somewhere in between. Okay, because it took me a little bit longer because the beadwork stepped in, and then I got distracted from school. Then but I did go back to school. Yes.
Oh, wait, so you took time off?
I took time off. I was busy with the beadwork, with the poetry, with the music. But then I go back.
Yeah.
And when I go back is around the time when I did the rape campaign.
Yeah.
So when I posed naked.
Wait, I saw that. I was like, oh my God.
So wild.
Like, I was literally like,
this girl's crazy.
That's so crazy. Literally, I swear. Oh my, no.
It's so wild. It's so wild. But even now, in my hindsight, I'm just like, oh my God. Actually, first of all, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I actually understand what the uproar was about back then. I get it now. But then when I go into future times, I'm like, this is so powerful and so beautiful. Oh my God, right? And I'm like, I did want this in my legacy. It is going to build up my story to be like, who was Ntsiki Mazwai?
Yeah.
Oh, and then she shocked her society, and then she posed.
Yeah, that was shocking. Yeah.
She posed.
But it was a necessity, though.
It
like,
was.
I get it.
Yes.
I really do get it.
Yes.
At the time, it would have been insane. Obviously, now, But at the time, I get it.
Because it was, I was like, stuff everybody. If I stand naked, it does not mean I want to be raped.
Yo, but it's true.
And
It is true. Even if you had to walk down here, it doesn't give anybody a right. So I did understand that. But I think your approach to things is to jar people. Like, you have to jar people. And that's the way you get the responses. And then people have to think about it. So, but continue with the beadwork first.
Okay, cool. So then what happens is that while I'm busy with this marketing thing, we had our exams earlier than everybody else. So I would finish by November. And my squad is at Wits. So they're finishing a bit later. So I'm...
Like your squad of friends?
Yeah, because I still had my friends go Wits. But now I've been kicked out. Now I'm going to another school now.
It was what IMM.
IMM. I'm now at Varsity College. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But... parallel living here. Those years were so amazing, by the way, kids. So, like, besides the seriousness of the talk,
Yeah.
Oh my God, the culture and the partying
And you were here
and
in Malvo. And the couch, like, yeah, I get that.
I was
I get
within.
that.
We had a schedule for partying. Like, I remember because I had my friend, my best friend there had a car.
Yeah.
So now it's even, we are just chilling. Really, those were my days.
Yeah.
So we would like party on Monday. Would be at Monday Blues. There was a poetry session out in Yeovil. Tuesdays there was this place called 206, where hip hop culture started in this country. There was a club called 206. Oh, flip! I must remember we went on Wednesday.
So, but Monday to Sunday.
Babes,
Monday to Sunday.
I'm like, yo, we actually had
Yo.
it down. There was a club called Trescalini as well. Was that what we did on Wednesday? Or that was Thursday? Trescalini. There was also like baseline. There was just, it was just, you know, when you have packed it up nicely and then you've got your squad
Like
of
a
girls.
schedule.
And
An itinerary.
That's actually how I failed school.
Crazy.
So anyway, so my friends at Wits, they were finishing their exams later than me. So when I finished my exams, because I lived in Malville, and I used to walk, you know, obviously walking around.
Yeah.
There was a bead shop I used to walk past all the time. There's a bead shop. I'm walking past and I see it. So when I finished my exams, I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? Because my friends were busy and you know. And then I go, let me try the bead shop. Let me see. Then I go by the bead shop. Then my friends come back from writing the exams. So they're coming to visit now. And they find all this. They're like, what? Oh my God, I want this.
So it was already made. Did you?
Yes, I started making. I just started making. And then it grew. And then I just got better and better and better. And then that's how I started my business. And now I'm learning how to do business plan. And I'm just like, okay, now.
20.
Guys. And then I'm just like, okay, the 4 Ps. Now, how do I apply the stuff I did at school on here? Then I started applying it and I create my House of Mobu and then I start selling to people. There was an era where like the matric dance scene, I owned it. Like everybody all the girls just wanted to wear Ntsiki Mazwai beaded tops.
And they're quite stylish, eh? Like I saw, like I wanted to know your influences for like the type of designs because some of them you see even today.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like us getting influenced from before. Yeah.
Yes. I'm so glad you're asking all of this. So I pioneered a style of beadwork, like this wooden beaded stuff that you see that looks like my work.
Yeah.
Started at my work.
That's so crazy to me.
So wild.
Like genuinely I wouldn't have known.
So it's wild because, you know, South Africa, this is why I'm always pissed off at the Department of Arts and Culture because I've been a victim of intellectual property. Just my work is everywhere. It's at China Mall. And I'm just like, if I had a government that protects my work, I would be wealthy by now. You know? So it was hard because people just started copying my work and not acknowledging it. And what that did was that it took away my drive and because then what's the point?
The connection that you had.
Yeah, because it's just like I'm running a business and it's not protected and people just copy. You know, I would have clients, some of them are celebrities now, who would come and buy from me and then they just copy my work. You know, and so it was just like, whoa. So I know from a craft level that our intellectual property is not protected. And that's ridiculous because Abo Coco Chanel, all the other brands and stuff, they get money off their work. They are protected.
Even the designs too.
You understand?
They do, yeah.
So something is very wrong in our country. And the fact that the Department of Arts and Culture doesn't have thinkers or people who are experienced in our field or even know what we put in, you know?
But do you think there's maybe just a certain lack of like care, maybe? Because I feel like it's for a lot of the entertainment
Yeah,
anything
no, it's
arts and craft,
ignorance.
everything,
It's
yeah.
ignorance. The wrong people are in the offices. I think that it's problematic that we have people who run ministries that are not in the industries. I think that's problematic because then you don't know what the problems are. The deeper problems are in that industry, which is what we're getting. So Bonathi Mthetho, boZizi Kodwa, Gaten, they've done nothing for us, you know? They just get there and they enjoy the ministerial benefits, but they've never done anything that has changed anything for artists.
Yeah.
I've got the same situation in the music as well. So, I mean, with the beadwork, okay, so I enjoyed it and I did it, but then when it started getting bitten, it was disheartening and just, it killed me. It killed the whole thing. So then the music, how that comes about is that, so while I'm doing the beadwork thing, I'm also a writer and a poet.
Yeah, and how did you get to that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like when I'm making my beads, I start attracting a certain type of people and a certain crowd. Body artsy fartsy, so. Then the artsy fartsies are like, yo, you're one of us. And oh, come, can you bring me my beadwork at Horror Cafe? I'll be what time, what? Then I end up at Horror Cafe to go deliver my beads to my clients. Then I'm at Horror Cafe and I see all the other people who kind of have this vibe. Then now they've got this thing called an open mic session. And I'm like, what's this? Now people are going on there, you know, and they're doing their poetry. And I'm like, I've got poems. Yeah. You know, I was like, I've got poems. I can, you know, I sit and I watch a few times. I'm like, I've got poems. Then one day I go to an open mic session I went to. It was called Monday Blues, and it was still a Jungle Connection. And rest in peace to Peter Makurube, who was running those sessions. So I go there with my book, and I'm sitting with this guy. He's also a poet, Righteous the Common Man. So I was like, okay, I've also got my books. I also do poems.
But we also like, timid.
Wow. You know? Like I also do. Then he's like, yo, go get on stage. Go try it.
Were you doing this like playing without the music part?
Without the music. Okay. So I go there. I'm like, okay. Then I go do this poem. It was called Kawekazi. And I'm like, oh, I'm a Pambili, Kawekazi. Then it was like, what? Girl! Then there's a standing ovation. And everyone's like, yo, where's your other work? More. Then I'm like, oh my. So then, you know, that's how the poetry starts. And then I start going to thingies. Obviously, now I'm getting a little bit famous because, I mean, yeah, because it was also, I think, also the mix of the beads.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about the beads is that in our culture, as you know, beadwork is a spiritual thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah, so we get there eventually. At the time, I didn't know, obviously.
Oh, you were just doing
I'm just like, I love beads. Oh my God, no, beads are my thing. No, don't touch my beads. You know, it's just very... So then I start going to these sessions, you know, and I'm now popular, and I've got this poem called Hey Black Girl. Yeah. And it's about girls with hips being confident, and girls with their natural hair must be confident, and with your languages, you must be confident. And, you know, now, you know, there's this Black consciousness thing that I'm bringing to the poetry scene and soulful sisterhood, whatever. Then one day, there is this... this poetry conference in PE. And shout out to my brothers in PE who set that up. Oh, police.
And what time was this around?
This is around 2004. 2003, 2004. I'm 23, 24. I go to this conference and we take the bus like from Park Station to like PE. And I'm like a kid, like I'm 23 and I'm still figuring all this stuff out, but okay, let's go. I was like, I've never been to Park Station. Oh my God, guys, I'm traumatized. What's happening?
Because you came from what the
like,
that was me too, yeah.
Right?
Even now, yeah.
Where you're like, oh my God, I'm praying to the God of private school kids. Please protect me here. I'm in the real world.
Yeah, that's so real. Oh my God, that is so real. Like, that's real.
I know.
Yo.
These are the conversations we're not allowed to have. But we're like, yo, we've been taught to be scared of other
It's
black
true.
people.
It's
And
true.
it's really like it worked. So we just like, anyway, so I go to PE, you know, and as we are in PE, I'm one of, I think there might have been 3 women at the conference. So it's myself and it's Napo Mashiane, who's also a poet and she works at the theatre or something. And Maisha Jenkins, who's now passed on, rest in peace. An older American woman. And we're chilling there. Because all the men are there. And we went for a smoke break. So we're sitting in the car having a blunt. And we're like, these men.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
we're just
I
like,
get
these
that.
men. And so we're like, guys, you know what? Let's organize a poetry show with just women. And let's just, you know, when we go back to Joburg, let's get together, call all the female poets, and we're just going to do a show with just women.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, let's do that. Hey, so we do the conference, we get back to Joburg. On the day, we phone, we call all the women we know, or each of us in the poetry scene, we call, and on the day of this meeting that we're meant to meet at Maisha's house, Napo shows up, obviously Maisha's there, Ntsiki shows up, Lebu Machilo shows up. The 4 of us show up. Nobody else shows up. Then we start doing our poems together. We say we're going to do a show. Then we decide, okay, we're going to call ourselves Feela Sistah.
Feela Sistah.
Bruh!
Oh, that's cool.
Holla back!
Yeah.
You know who I am. Feela Sistah.
Yeah.
So it's the 4 of us. Then we do a show where we intermix. We're like, okay, which themes do we have? Put the themes together, see if I get. Then it ends up being like the 4 of us on stage. Then we are interlinking, whatever, you know. Then Maisha's poetry's got that American thing and cute little short poems, and she's the older woman. Lebu's got that American thing, Nabaitanda, yeah. Napo's got Sisutu going on. Then I come in with my Xhosa. Hey! Rabayetsan! Lady Celeb could not even match.
Who did you invite to the?
There were we called all the women writers we knew.
No, I'm saying like who
came
to
at the
watch.
show.
Yeah.
Oh, what girl? So the first show was at the baseline. Baby girl, to the whole of Joburg that's descended upon. Because there was just this energy of there are these female poets. Oh my God! And we had individually been like Lebo was popular in her corner and I was popular also in my corner. So must figure and just join these big girls, you know. Then we noticed after the first show, good guys, seen something, see groupie. Then they start booking us. It was for the first time. Poetry's in the Sunday World. They gossip. We're in the gossip papers. We are on magazine covers. We are just.
Do you think that's where it started to pop off? Like really pop off?
It's commercially starts popping up. Yes, the poetry scene.
It sounds like it was more like underground.
Yes. No, we definitely were the ones who brought poetry to the mainstream. Hey, then, going everywhere. We're being invited across the country, whatever. But then the problem, we'll go to ego. Is not something you play with, guys. So the more people get famous, the more they feel famous. So I think what happened in Feela Sistah, because I'm always so easy to scapegoat.
Yo, yeah.
You can imagine how it played out.
I can see where this is going.
Yes, it went exactly there. And what was so deep about it is that we had a therapist actually. And in the end, even the therapist said, ladies, you are not taking responsibility for your part. You're all blaming Ntsiki. When are you? Then they were like, hi, it's Ntsiki's fault. But then do you know what happens in the end? Because the money, we had already set up even a company.
Yeah.
So
it was like a group.
It was a group.
Damn. Like a sister group.
Yeah. And what happened is that you would get paid a little bit more if you did the admin.
Okay.
Right? What happened in the end when we paid out, or when it's time to pay out our things. I got paid a lot more than everybody.
You had that marketing.
Because I was,
you had that knowledge. Yeah.
So then, you understand?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Then, that's how my heart skips a beat comes about. Because I'm like, Sana Urongo.
Okay.
Yes! Yes, that's how Sana Urongo came out.
Okay.
Yes!
Wow.
Right?
I didn't see that anyway. Yeah. Wow.
That's because I was graceful.
I always thought it was like some loud
Boy, everybody
boy.
thought it was a boy
Damn.
thing, and I just kept quiet, and I just ate my royalties, and I saw the universe showing off and showing those Feela sister people, Guti, do not mess with this child. As soon as it broke up, that's when Sana Urongo just blew up.
And it
And it blew
People
up.
still listen to it even today.
It was the biggest selling song in 2005.
Wow. That's crazy.
Wild. So the universe unashamedly said, sorry, I'm sorry you went through that, but here's your journey.
Yeah, here's your blessing.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Since, you were the problem. So Ntsiki is the problem as usual. So anyway, so Sana Urongo blows up. Then I get into the whole music thing, and it's rocking and it's nice. But then again, I come through the same intellectual property issues again with music.
So that comes back to the government, basically.
It comes back to the government. What happens is that, because actually the original of Sana Urongo is actually a hip hop funk track.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard it.
I listened to it.
It's much better,
Yeah, I
isn't it?
listened to it. Yeah.
I prefer that version to the one that got famous. But anyways, I start doing the whole music thing. And now I'm going really deep, and I'm going into the bands, and I'm putting my poetry with like real musicians, and and I do all this work, and I put together this beautiful album called Moya.
Yes.
And
This is the one with the African skies.
Yes.
I like that song.
Oh, babes, that
That
album.
felt happy to me. Like, it was beautiful. Yeah.
Ish. So what happens is that I put together this album, I put it together, and I work hard, and I get into musicians, and it takes me like 2-3 years, and I'm just like going, and I'm meeting people, and I used to work with Nikki Palm, incredible musician.
From
Nikki Palm, she was actually in, do you remember Latoya Machene and her sisters? Yes.
yeah, of course.
So in that group, there was their cousin Nikki.
Yeah.
Gifted musician. So she used to beatbox, and then I would rap. Yo, we were so dope. So there was an era of Nikki and Ntsiki now.
Yeah.
Then we started adding other musicians. We have a saxophonist. It was Babi, and our guitarist Mbongeni, and we had Bev on bass. The band grows, and then I start doing somebody Jill Scott.
Oh yeah.
We have one vibe, the Soul Sisters vibe. But what I noticed, right, is that the white establishment, they watch us.
Yeah, of course.
And then they see what's working, and then they create copies of that. So then I brought in this soulful style, then you mixing in your vernac, and it's soulful. And then at Sony, they had their own version. I'm not going to drop any names, because that's some deep shit. Anyways. So then they just copy and paste what the image you've created
into someone else.
Onto somebody else. And that somebody else was actually a weave girl before and stuff.
Wow.
So it was literally...
Oh, they manufactured...
Wow, it was such a deep experience.
What?
Like, I was just like, so this is life.
Wild.
Then they put all the money in this girl. Then she just... Then obviously that frustration also, I just was like, wow. Damn. Then I went through a phase where I even changed my whole image, because I was just so pissed off and so like, but anyways, like we learn these things, and it's okay, and it's fine. We keep it moving. So what I wanted to say so I put together this album, right?
Yeah.
Then, because we are taught that we need the system, then I'm like, okay, I need to go to Gallo, whatever. Oh, Gallo wants me. But I've done all the work. There's literally a master. They've done nothing.
Oh wait, this is okay. I see where you're going. Yeah.
They've done literally nothing. Like, they just took the product and they were like, oh yeah, we'll take you. Then I was like, no, I want to own my master. And I remember this was clear all the time. I was like, no, I own my own master. And I'm the fool today because in those contracts, it wasn't like that.
Did you read
I read the contracts, but I obviously, the way they write them...
Oh, they trick you somehow.
They trick you. And also, what is a corporate doing signing contracts with single artists? With these big corporate lawyers and us vulnerable people who don't even have money for petrol. And obviously, we're looking for the record deal. The government needs to have policies in place that says these are the type of contracts that record labels can do, and this percentage split. It's ridiculous. You can't give the artist 10%. It's ridiculous.
That's their entire life, basically.
It's ridiculous. How they've made it make sense to them that the musical collectors and the record labels must earn more is ridiculous, and it's part of that whole apartheid system where you think people are not human and we're just these little performers or what.
Yeah.
So the whole contractual stuff again, I said, none of the ministers have ever come in to look at the contracts in the music industry and putting in rules in place. SAMRO, the collecting society, is a crime scene. It's
explain that to me.
Crime scene, guys. They've collected musicians' monies. They are all driving fancy cars. They've got medical insurance. They've got thingies. Artists are not getting paid out. So what's happening in this country is that when you hear music on radio, on TV, everywhere, all that money is being collected, yes. But someone doesn't know who it belongs to. So they use it for themselves. So there was even a case where they went and lost millions of artists' money in Dubai, and nobody was held accountable from here. They took $1 million from SAMRO by themselves and decided upon themselves without consulting artists, and took our money to go set up in Dubai, and they lost millions in a deal that went wrong. Nobody's been held accountable for that. Nobody was arrested for that. No artists were compensated for that. So we've got at SAMRO people looking after the artist's money.
Yeah.
But it's for themselves.
SAMRO is exactly.
SAMRO is a collecting society that every time it collects royalties for artists. So every time your song gets played on the radio or on TV, they go to all these thingies and they collect all the money. They go, SABC, our money.
Yeah.
But the problem is that when they've got our money, the money doesn't go to where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So SAMRO is a crime scene.
And is it still the same?
It's still the same. Last year we went to a board meeting that I walked out of because the chairperson, when it's time to vote, they go, okay, and everybody who votes for me, put your hands up. He's standing on stage and saying, okay, it's time to vote now. It's everyone who votes for me as CEO, put your hands up. How do you what kind of a voting system is that? So there are these crazy things happening at SAMRO and crazy systems, and they running things, but the artists are dying broke because SAMRO hasn't. There's millions of rands in their accounts. It's called the undocumented section.
Yeah.
And what has been happening is that people who know about the undocumented works, which are millions, have been pocketing in the cookie jar. Nothing is happening about that. So artists are vulnerable. We definitely need a class action suit against SAMRO.
But how would that happen?
Yes. So that's where we are now. It's actually a matter of, okay, so guys, how are we going to strategize? Because it's a crime scene there and we're not getting our royalties, but we can see our top management are driving big cars and they've got medical aid. But now when they die, they have got insurance policies, but we don't. And we are the ones generating this income. So, I mean, if like the minister can address issues like that, we're waiting for Gayton to go to SAMRO, please, with pleasure, and audit those
But what
books.
would kind of force them into doing that? Because what's What's going to make them do that? Is my question.
That's the thing. They need pressure from us. They need, because it's something that's happening. All the exploitation in the arts happens in quietly, and people are ashamed to say we're broke. So then they just keep quiet, you know. So it's just going to need someone who's got financial muscle and lawyers,
Yeah.
and then it's on.
Yeah, that's crazy. So would you say that this whole situation is the reason, or kind of made you step away from a lot of your artistry and your poetry?
Yeah.
Because I remember, like, especially with your poetry, like the first time I heard you was at one of the things I was working for, and I was like, okay, but why? Like, wait, like, if I had to search, like, where's everything else? Like, why aren't you doing more sort of shows and more, you know, just work, you know? Do you think that's the reason then?
That's the reason. And also the establishment doesn't like me.
Okay.
So this thing of where I conscientize the blacks and I'm a revolution, that's why they create copies of me that are safer. And they book those copies at the main events.
Yeah, the ones who say the right thing.
The ones who say the right things. The ones who will promote the vaccines and things.
Of course.
That's who they'll put their money into. So literally, I'm being economically bullied by the system because of the things I say.
Because of your voice.
Yes.
Basically.
All right, guys, you've reached the end of part 1. To watch part 2, you have to be part of the Moya community, which is paying less than 20 Rand a month. So not only do you subscribe, can you just press the join button there, put in your banking details, so that every month, you're paying your tithe. So those of us who are within, let's go to part 2. Okay, what am I supposed to do? What are these people? What is it that they want? Why are they always shouting at me and dragging me? Like, what must I do so that it's just not so hectic? Because I think people undermine how violent the energy is. Black girls, black people have been through so much. And what white people succeeded in doing was to make black people feel bad about the way they look and their things and isn't those they seem to. They really demonized it and they made us feel ugly. Yeah, I was like, who do you think I am? Ntsiki Mazwai. I'm Ntsiki Mazwai, Dad. You better know who I am. I'm not just you're gonna pay for my undergrad all over again. No. Sebeng acceptile for masters.